Hey Sue, you're on mute.
Of them have germ slits on the
Oh,
spores.
oh, so like annulohypoxylon, I guess. And oh, look at that one's got a slit. Hypoxylon. Um, what's that Diusta thing? Catch me, Maria.
Yeah, I
Oh
was just
yeah.
saying a lot of Xylariaceae have a germ slit, and a lot of information can be derived from that germ slit. And in this particular case, which is something that I hadn't come across before, a lot of times you're looking at, does that go pole to pole? Is it the entire length, I should say? Is there any kind of wave to it? But for this species, the way that I differentiated it from a couple others that I was considering is that this germ slit is on that humpback side, that more convex side, right? Um, whereas some of the other species, the germ slit is on the flatter side. And maybe we can make that out in some of these next photos. But um, I thought that was interesting as a differentiator between the spores. What side of the spore is that germ slit located?
Are these still in an ascus?
Yep. Yes.
It's just
So,
highline, I guess. You can't see it.
yep.
Wow.
But you can, count all eight of them there, and
Yeah.
they're immature. But what I like about this photo is on at least three of them, you can see the germ slit really, really well.
Does the germ slit develop as the spore matures? Does it grow, I wonder, as the spore
Well,
matures, or is it just always there?
I
Yeah.
think it's always there, right? And then once it starts germinating, that's where it ends up, you know, the point of least resistance, I guess, right? But I
Okay, so
could,
it probably widens.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, I'm not 100% on that. Don't.
I'm having like a deja vu now. Like I think I actually found something once where some of the spores had um, like widening germ pores, and then I think I read something about it, and it was because they were beginning to germinate or getting ready to germinate.
So are the two spores on the top, are those the up a different view? Are those the flat side? Or how come we can see the gutules in those?
Yeah,
Or
so that's a good question. A lot of the time, so the spores are pretty highly varied. Like you can see, well, there is an issue with magnification here, only because these asci are pretty large. That to get the three with the germ slit in there, I had to mess with the magnification. So you're getting a different kind of level of magnification on those top two.
oh,
Um,
okay.
so there's that, and then also there, maybe they're immature, maybe they're duds, which every now and then you come across these ascos where um, even within the ascus, uh, those spores are just kind of not going to make it, right?
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if that made sense, but like maybe they just didn't mature or are at a different level of maturity.
Okay.
This is the Lila sent in a link to one of the other ones that you had mentioned, the other species before.
I'm so glad that she did that because I kept thinking like, let's see the other one too. Look
Yeah,
at
this
that
is got
yellow. So interesting.
yellow. Yes.
Yeah, and again, that yellow is it's fleeting. So you'll often find subiculata. I mean, when you find it with the yellow, you know what it is, right? Um, when that yellow is not present, there are other ways to kind of just immediately identify it, but that yellow isn't always there, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But yeah, super common. This subiculata. Um, they're really small, so I think they're overlooked, but the subiculata at least is pretty common. This one less so, but it's probably the second most common.
Do you know what wood subiculata generally grows on?
I don't know if it's all that specific. I find it at different locations pretty regularly, though. You know, we do have. Yeah, I would say it's not all that specific.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I don't see it because it's so small and I just overlook it.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm looking. That log I flipped over, by the way, that this was found on. I flipped this log, so you got to step one, flip a log, uh, and then know, oh, that little tuft of black that looks like nothing. I need to look closer at it.
Yeah,
They're,
I need
they're
to turn over more logs.
yeah, and they're very small, so you have to, you know, look closer at it most likely.
Yeah, at least you found a log that was small enough to easily turn over.
Yeah, and that's why I should have mentioned this. I don't know what kind of log it is because it's one of those branches slash logs that this trail system uses to like delineate the trail. You know, they put these fallen sticks and logs to you know border the trail so you know where you're going, or I don't know. I don't know why they do that. Uh, but
Well, it does prevent runoff from water on the trail.
okay, yeah, I didn't know that. But it makes it convenient to just flip over something while you're walking on the trail. So, and then I just have one more observation, but it is a lot of photos.
Well, maybe just start making movies out of it. Does iNaturalist accept a little movie thing too?
I don't know. But this is an update on my moist chamber cultures of my myxomycetes. So this is from probably 2 weeks ago, and I shared this one the last time, uh, but I think it's really about to start fruiting, and it's been going wild. So this is from today, and if you can click on the center, pretty much, just to the left of where the paper's folded, up up a little
Uh,
bit.
yeah, it's hard to make out. It's really paper there. Is the white stuff is still paper? Oh.
Yeah, yeah. It's leaves and paper and all that. Um, but there were some fruiting bodies starting to form, which is exciting. This is my favorite one that I've been tracking over the last couple weeks.
Have you named it yet?
I have
Okay.
not. I've not named any of them.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, they're hard to keep track of. You know what I mean? And if I start calling it Todd, when they break apart into two separate things, is it still one?
They're all still Todd.
They're all still Todd. But yeah, the next photo, next photo. Yeah, here you can kind of see they're starting to kind of make sclerotia just to the left of the fold on the paper. Yep, right there. So I think something's about to happen.
I touched too much here. I don't even know what that is. I don't know how to get rid of that one. Okay.
All right. Uh,
Here.
yeah, and then I also shared, just start with the first yellow plasmodium, the next one. Yeah. So the last time I shared this one, it had just worked its way underneath that paper that I introduced. And since then, it started working its way out from under that paper. And it's really starting to set up a nice, thick plasmodium that might reveal itself in the next couple days here. In that next photo.
Wow. Dorothy would be so proud. Where is she?
Yeah, so working its way away from the paper, uh, assuming it's collecting food. And here's from today, really starting to thicken up.
The yellow visit today?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then also in this photo, in the upper right, I have my first actual fruiting body.
To the right? That guy?
Yep, that's Arceria cinerea. And I have a separate post for that. I didn't include it here with better photos and everything, but I think we all know, well,
The
Arceria
candy.
cinerea is one of the most common slime molds to find in nature. And per Dr. Stevenson, he says it's one of the easiest and most common ones to show up in a culture. So unsurprising that that was the first one to show. All right, see that
Oh,
plasmodium in the
wow.
center there? This showed up Sunday. I took this photograph, and then I just checked on it today. And something odd happened. So are you using the arrow keys to navigate?
No. I mean,
Does
I,
that
I
work?
have, but they keep disappearing on me on the screen.
No, like the arrow key on your
I,
keyboard.
no, I don't use those. You think those are better?
Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
As opposed to the ones that are on the picture that disappeared.
Well, let's just do the arrow keys.
Okay.
All right. So this showed up today, and it's another fruiting body that is about to reveal itself. Um, and I just noticed the plasmodium. It's a different plasmodium, but we missed it on the last photo. But yeah, I just noticed it the other day, and all of a sudden it's fruiting. And this is backlit, so you can really see the plasmodium throwing out those individual sclerotia tubules that are eventually going to mature.
Amazing.
Hopefully, they mature.
That's a great way to see that, Brandon. Good job.
Yeah, with the backlight,
Hmm.
because in that first photo, you look at it and you're like, yeah, it's slime mold-esque. But also, was there a critter that laid eggs in here that I didn't notice? And then you see the plasmodium in the background, like, okay, we're good. But it is interesting that it chose the plastic as opposed to the paper or the substrate. And then the last time I showed this, uh, there were questions about like how I actually do these moist chamber cultures. And
Yeah,
this
is
one I
that
set up.
agar?
No, that's just a paper towel. So a couple things I mentioned tricks you can learn. Um, one that I had never done before, Dr. Stevenson recommended, you put down a paper towel in whatever medium you want. I bought these at Target, 5 for $2.50. Got a bunch of them. put a paper towel, and you want a couple layers of paper towels. So the size of these containers is perfect to fold over 3 times and make pretty much a perfect fit in there. And then the other thing that I didn't do previous to Dr. Stevenson's advice, you want to pretty much soak these things overnight. So it looks like agar because there's, a centimeter of water in there. It's not just moist, it's flooded, right? You want to kind of fill up halfway to whatever substrate you're trying to culture, which I had never even come close to using that much water. So you do that overnight and then you drain the excess, but make sure that it stays really, really damp. You don't want to flood it, but yeah, the moist part of moist chamber culture is really, really important.
Distilled water or?
That's recommended. Dr. Stevenson said he's never used it. He just uses regular tap. But the reason that distilled water is recommended is because it's going to be guaranteed free of, low levels of chlorine,
Right.
which sometimes you can get out of your tap water.
Oh yeah, so you can boil it first too, or leave it out for a couple days to dechlorinate.
I don't know how to dechlorinate water, but if that is a way to do that, I believe you. Boiling it or leaving it out.
Leaving it
Yeah.
I
out.
agree.
But regardless, it worked anyways for you. So you didn't do anything, just tap water.
No, I looked up, so my tap water is not good. So I drink those big 5-gallon, I have a water cooler machine,
Oh, right.
but it's, it's not electronic. It's just a bamboo one. And I just made sure that that wasn't chlorinated. You can look up, the manufacturer and see if they chlorinate their water. So
Got it. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. Wow. And Brandon, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. So did you have any clue what you would be getting, or when you chose the substrate, or
No.
no? And that's just
Nope.
kind of how you do it, right? You just pick any
Yeah.
leaves or.
Well, so that was the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about, because when I shared this the last time, somebody had a presentation and I didn't want to take up too much time, but I just sent these 2 things in, so maybe we can talk about it if anyone has questions.
Yeah.
Another trick that I picked up from Dr. Stevenson is the actual substrate to collect, right? So dead bark is top. That's the best. Sticks are great. Just sticks that you find in the forest. And then if you're going to collect leaves, you want to get down in there. You want to collect like the really, really old, crumbly leaves. You don't want anything fresh. And that goes the same for the bark. You don't want fresh bark because, well, fungi move in, which I didn't mind. Found some cool stuff. And then there's a couple other things like the leaves that I showed you in this observation. He recommended collecting submerged material. So the leaves out of a stream, the leaves out of a pond, you know what I mean? And then let that completely dry out before you start to do the moist chamber culture, which is kind of counterintuitive, but yeah, I saw a difference when he told me that. So.
And then you cover these, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I prepared this just today. Like I said, I flooded them. So halfway up the sticks are in the top Tupperware, and black locust bark is in the bottom Tupperware. And another thing about the bark, the rougher the better. So if you're collecting bark, You don't want, beach bark isn't what you're looking for. You want something with some texture to it because that's the way that these spores kind of operate, right? They're more likely to get stuck in, pitch pine crevices or, black locust troughs. So that's another little trick.
And so when they're covered, are they not getting air then?
I'm sorry, I forgot that was your question. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
No
So,
air, so you want to make it an airtight situation. And sunlight is your enemy, right? So these go, maybe you can go to the next photo. I'll show you my setup.
I remember Dorothy kept him in the bathtub. It was Dorothy,
Right,
right?
Brandon, I forgot.
Virginia.
Virginia, I'm sorry. That's who I meant.
But yeah, I have them I cleared a space in my linen closet, and that's where these live.
Well, it doesn't work. Okay, right. That did not work. The arrow key did not work.
But yeah, sunlight, enemy. You want to keep them out of sunlight as much as possible, which is tough to like document them. So all these photographs are in artificial light, so it's tough to see. Yep.
Is
There you go.
mold ever an issue or problem?
Yes,
Yeah.
for me, and again, this is my first kind of go at it. It was less of a problem than I thought it was going to be because I just kind of spray and prayed, right? I bought a bunch of these uh, little Tupperwares to do a bunch of pretty much experiments with. And four of them were like, oh, I can't open that inside. Like, that needs to go outside to open.
Oh, you could see. You're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Trichoderma or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. But then two of those that I thought were, ooh, I got to open that one outside too. I brought it outside to open, and it didn't look that bad, and I just kind of let it ride, and the slime molds popped out of those two. Um, there was like white fuzzy mold, which, yeah, probably don't want that in the house, but I was like, yeah, let's see what happens. And then 2 days later, that mold is gone and there's plasmodium all over the thing. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. But
So how are you
everything
labeling all these containers?
with labels.
Yeah. Well, what kind of information are you putting on the labels?
Oh, the location, the substrate, the date collected, and the date chambered. And then all of these have an additional notation, which is the first time a plasmodium popped up, because all of these, this is my current setup. Actually, the four on the left are the ones that I did today, but the rest of them all have slime mold plasmodium in them, which is pretty great.
So cool.
What do you think is going to happen if you put one plasmodium in the same container as another? Are they going to fight it out?
Well, there's already multiple plasmodiums in most of these
Different
containers,
species?
really. Yeah,
Right.
the one with
Okay.
the black fruiting bodies, well, grayish fruiting bodies that kind of had the almost transparent plasmodium that was grown on the plastic. That was in the same container as a yellow plasmodium. Um, that hasn't done anything yet, but they develop at different stages. And what you have to remember is that these things aren't consuming the substrate. They're consuming microfungi and bacteria that happen to be on that substrate, which I believe is why sunlight is the enemy here, because that's going to kill the bacteria. But yeah, that's important to remember. And I asked Dr. Stevenson about host specificity with these things, since they are not consuming the substrate. And he said, yeah, they are host specific because the bacterium that they feed on, that individual slime mold feeds on, that is host specific, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my little.
Any complaints on the linen closet?
What do you mean?
Do you live alone?
Yeah.
Okay, just like I'm just like I'm just I know, like if I did that to a linen closet, we got problems.
The only complaint is the only complaint is I had to, throw out the stuff that was in there for over a year and a half that I hadn't touched. So it was like I cleaned my closet pretty much.
So, regarding the host specificity, so you could sort of predict, I mean, as you get more into it, you could sort of predict what you might get then.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. Yeah. But as of now, and it was, the course, it was 5 classes with, it wasn't all that in depth. So we didn't get too far into the weeds with, what are you going to find on what. It was mostly just, this is the order this is the order this. But
Right.
yeah, hopefully as this continues, I'm able to recognize the plasmodium, because a couple weeks ago I sent my first plasmodium to him. I was like, hey, it worked. Your advice worked. Thank you. And he was immediately like, yeah, that's probably Physarum and that's probably this. So I was like, okay, you've done this long enough that you can see them immediately before they even start to produce a fruiting body.
So cool.
Thank you, Brandon. Those who are new, these are slime molds. They're not fungi. And that's why we're wondering whether we should name them, because they are items that can move and like a real creature. So Leighton always used to feed his slime molds cornflakes in the Fungus Fest, because they like to go after cornflakes.
Funny.
Yeah, I my next move is to isolate some of the plasmodium and feed them. Dr. Stevenson recommended oats, just steel cut oats. They seem to like that.
I guess that means they probably like starches if they're not eating bacteria for their side dish. Either that or the oats and cornflakes have a lot of bacteria in them that we don't see. Okay, well, thank you, Brandon. Hopefully we'll find bigger fungi next week. Chris, you said you had something to show?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We were over at Sourland Mountain this weekend. I found some of these on the side of the trail, all real tiny stuff here. just I guess they just got started. I didn't find much for spores, but you could see the moss in the bottom there, how tiny these things are.
Check out Tulosesus. Go on microcube. I have some species of Tulosesus. Is this a flower pot or something? I'm sorry. I had a crisis here to deal with.
Was it a bat?
No,
Okay.
no, not yet. We haven't had any bats yet.
Okay.
Not
This
yet.
summer. No, my fire stick stopped working
Oh,
because
Oh,
I'm on my daughter's account and she had to do some tinkering because somebody tried to hack her account. So we had to read whatever, to get it works again. So now I'm back. Yeah, check out. I bet you these are dark spores, even though they look very pale.
so that's the thing. I really didn't find much for spores.
Not mature.
and then
Yeah,
they couldn't be the Coprinellus disseminatus or
maybe. I mean, that's in the ballpark. Coprinellus disseminatus. Yeah, Coprinopsis they're a little bigger and they really deliquesce. The Coprinellus, I mean, they're in the incap group, whatever that means. It's really not a genetic group. But those usually just dry out. And Tulosesus is a relatively new genus that is sort of like morphologically halfway between Parasola and Coprinellus. And I think a lot of these things that show up like in flower pots and things, these really little things, I think some of them are Tulosesus.
Well, this was on the side of a trail, like up, half under a log, just growing in moss.
Yeah, it might be Coprinellus. Could be Coprinellus. It looks
But
like they might be sterile fruit bodies.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I didn't find really any spores.
Yes, but I once made a collection of sterile Hypholoma capnoides, which should have really dark spores and a whole lot of really dark spores. And it was a big fruiting, a great big cluster on a hemlock log. And I know that's what they were because I had them sequenced by fungus. And there were no spores at all. I did everything to try to find spores. In fact, I made like 2 collections because I went on 2 separate times and no spores. And it was, in fact, Hypholoma capnoides. I put that one into fundus and it was sequenced. And I found the cystidia, the kind of cystidia you're supposed to find. I found those. Oh, look, there's a basidium, and it looks like there's an immature spore on it.
Well,
Yeah,
this is the only one I found.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's interesting because they're very staring-mate, right? Like that stare. Uh, that's what it's called, right? The
Stigmata.
stigmata. Yeah.
yeah.
That normally lengthens as the spore matures, and in these last couple photos, we've seen those really long.
Real long.
Yeah. So that normally means that a mature spore would have come off of it. I think.
Yeah, I think these are sterile fruit bodies because
Interesting.
the gills are so pale. There's no color, and these look like Coprinellus or Tulosesus or something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the first thing I've seen really with just about with a cap on it, So I was pretty excited.
Yeah, well, I found Coprinellus truncorum. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost certain that's what they are. I think I showed them 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I went back and got more of them and did more micro, and I was able to get more information, and they were Coprinellus truncorum. These might be Coprinellus.
Yeah, just fun to see something.
Sure. Um, that would be my guess, though. Sterile fruit bodies,
Well, I
because I don't
gotta.
think they're Mycena. They don't really look like Mycena, let's say. And that's something else you can find this early, which has white spores.
It's
The
Trocelomus. Is that what you said? I want to look that up.
Tulosesus, Tulosesus.
Tulosesus. Okay. Thank
Yeah. Yeah. Look on Michael Quebec. They have like 3 or 4 species.
you.
So my wife found this along the edge of the trail,
Oh, nice.
and it was pretty much right to the ground,
Yep.
like a little bit of white matter underneath, but mostly just brain sitting on top of the dirt.
Yeah,
And
the
then
stipe and the cap are hard to differentiate.
a little bit on the fragile side, that piece laying off to the side, just kind of, I touched this thing and it just fell right off
Brittle flesh,
a
more or less
bit.
brittle. Mhm. Yeah, do you know
And
what it
then,
is?
no, I mean, I got a lot of guys. I don't, they suggested this, how do you even say that word?
Blancomyces corfii.
Yeah, there it is. You think that's what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's one of the first things to show up in the spring. It's an ASCO. It used to be Gyromitra corfii.
That's why I was thinking some kind of Gyromitra.
Yeah, well, Gyromitra has been split up into several new genera by Alden Dirks. That I think that may have been his thesis actually, and that was only a year or two ago. Oh, look at the nice spores. Look at how on the spore that's like the third one up,
Yeah, I
and the
got
one
some
that's second.
better.
Look at the little knobs on the poles.
Yeah.
So at least some of the spores for Blancomyces corfii will have knobs, one at each pole. Because somebody in our club just found, there they are. See the knobs, one at each end, and
Yeah, fairly
usually sometimes
prominent on a large number of them.
yeah, you don't, the knobs don't develop on all the spores, but I'd say on more than half usually, and sometimes there's 3 gutules, and sometimes there's just one great big one in the middle. Here you see, looks like one great big one and one smaller one, but you see the knobs. The knobs are there. They're fairly prominent.
and Chris, is this in water?
Yeah.
Actually, water is recommended for mounting spores for these um, Gyromitra sensuato. That in the
Would
broad
those,
sense.
do you think it would, the anything else will wear the knobs off and stuff?
Well, the knobs. Well, the thing is that there's a thing that looks like this. That's Neo-Gyromitra brunea, and that grows in New Jersey. I have found it in New Jersey, and it looks an awful lot like Blancomyces corfii, but usually it's a little bit later, and usually the top side of the cap comes to a peak like a top of a roof, kind of. So it's a really acute sort of angle on top, and
Hmm.
usually Neo-Gyromitra brunea has a little bit more of an actual stipe, but sometimes Blancomyces corfii has a stipe that's pretty well distinct as well. So they can be very, very similar. Now, Neo-Gyromitra corfii does not have a knob on each end. Neo-Gyromitra corfii has these like puffs, these like they look like clouds or something, and they are more. There's more of them around the poles, but sometimes the entire perimeter of a spore might be covered by these like bubbles or
Hmm.
clouds or whatever. And if you mount those spores in KOH, it dissolves that ornamentation immediately. I'm not sure what would happen in a stain. I think I probably have tried that in the past, but I forget. But I know Michael Quo on Mushroom Expert says to mount these type things at H2O because it's not abrasive. It doesn't dissolve the ornamentation. So
Yeah,
you've
I
got
always try to go to water first.
that's probably a good rule of thumb. If and the other thing I do is I always try to get spore drop spores. So I'm looking at mature ones, and it's usually a lot of times it's not hard to get spores out of these things. You just take a chunk of the pigmented part, in this case it's like light brown, and just put that part facing down on your mushroom on your microscope slide, and usually you'll see spores after maybe 12 hours. Sometimes you
Yeah,
don't.
this one. Oh, sorry. This one I left in the woods. I took the little chunk that fell off.
Right. That's enough. That's enough to
Yeah,
work with.
it's plenty.
Hmm. By the way, Alden, people used to eat these. They call these snowbank false morels, although the ones that grow in the east don't necessarily grow near snowbanks, but they do come out pretty early. When there still is a little bit of snow. Um, Related species would be Blancomyces montana. That's the snowbank false morel of the Rocky Mountains. It's considered to be a choice edible, although a lot of the old manuals would say that they didn't recommend it because it was thought to be in genus Gyromitra, and Gyromitra species, true Gyromitras have gyrometrin in them, and that's a deadly toxin if it's if it's not cooked out. But Alden Dirk says there's only trace amounts of gyrometrin in these Blancomyces species, and probably even morels have trace amounts of gyrometrin. It's not enough to make a difference really. But I have eaten a couple of times now Blancomyces corfii, and I thought it was pretty good. But once again, how many people do I know who have eaten these things? Well, me and Alden. Okay. So that's not a real big sample.
Mm. This one I just included this because there were so many of these nice the paraphyses. There's tons of them and they're real long and they seem to have like that texture to them.
I think these are immature acai. The paraphyses are going to be thinner and spoon shaped at the apex. And yeah, these I think are just immature acai that we're looking
I
at
don't
here.
know. The SI were pretty distinctive.
Yeah, but might be immature. They just haven't grown yet. If you've got more micro shots, maybe we can find a paraphis because I know what they look like. Because I just scoped
Bottom
one of these
left.
myself. Yes, lower left. There you
Yeah.
go. It's got like a spoon shape
But
on the end.
look at the size of that compared to the size of the spore, right?
Yeah, the paraphyses are a lot
And then
smaller.
look at the size of this spore next to the size of this.
Yeah, well, this is about almost half the size of the spore. Those paraphyses are what they're like one fifth maybe the width of the spore. I think these are just immature acai, and they're the thin end. The end where the spores aren't contained. Um, so an ascus will have like usually a thin end and a thicker end, and the thicker end is where you get the spores. Um, I think, I'm not certain, but I think that's what's going on there. And that other thing and there's another, see here in the lower right, it's a little bit out of focus, but you can see another paraphis there. See, it's got like the spoon shape on the apex. You see what I mean? It's a little bit foggy, but that's also a paraphis. And then there's one in the left also. I think that's what that is. Terminating at a little bit of an inflated apex. I think that's what's going on here.
And this one I just liked it because you could count the spores by the gutules. Real
Oh,
easy.
that's nice. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I
by the central gutules.
It was hard to count them except if I put it mostly out of focus and you just count the gutules.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, that's a handy thing to remember. Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to count the spores. You're right. Um, but
That
most of
was
these things have eight spores in the ascus anyway. These large ascos, a lot of them have 8 spores.
that's all I
Yeah.
had.
Well, that's a cool thing to find, and you get to do some micro, and it's the spores are nice and big, so you can see them really well. So those are nice to play around with. There'll be more of those probably, and you might eventually find Neogyromitra brunia, and then you can have the interesting experience of trying to see why it's different. And
Maybe next
other than
weekend.
those little clouds or bubbles along the perimeter, and they're very faint. You can see them in water. And maybe a stain brings them out better. I'm waiting to try to find one this year so I can see. Um, but other than the ornamentation, the knobs on the Blancomyces and the little bubbles on the Neogyromitra, the spores look the same. They're shaped the same. The size is almost the same. There's a central gut tool and usually two smaller ones on each side. So it's interesting trying to tell them apart.
Thank you, Chris. I think Lila has a couple to show also. Lila, are you ready?
Yes, sorry, had to find the mouse here. All right. We haven't shown anything in quite a long time. All right, there's the share. All right, maybe we'll start off with just a few of the common ones since there's some new people on, and just to make sure folks know what these things are. These are very common. The Schizophyllum commune, split gill. And these grow on wood, and they have this very interesting gill structure underneath. This is one that's been torn off the wood and turned upside down. And yeah, the gills are just really very cool on these. Here's top side, so they're kind of hairy, and the edges can be this serrated sort of looking edge, but they're very common, and you can usually find them pretty much year round, but they're probably not growing so much in the winter. So that one. Oh, birch polypore, Fomitopsis betulina. These grew last year and overwintered, and still this upper surface was looking pretty good, but these were, hard and dried out. When they're fresh, they're quite soft and are an interesting cap.
When these are fairly fresh, these might be a little old, the ones you're finding now, but it's possible to use the flesh inside these. You can cut like a strip of flesh, and you can use it as a compress, like a Band-Aid if you have a cut. That's a traditional use of this fungus. Also, I think Charles McIlvaine, in his circa 1900 field guide, said that it was good for sharpening razors, like a razor strop. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a friend, Nick, in the club, makes tea out of these.
I've tried that. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I've tried it too. It's not so good, but I have experimented with the bandage. And you basically peel off the pore layer. I only have this one kind of crappy photo, but yeah, that pore layer peels off, and it's like 2 millimeters thick, and you can cut it very easily with a knife.
Oh, so you actually use the pore layer, not the
Yeah.
inner flesh. I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it stretches, and you can wrap it around just like you would a
Cool.
Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. And it's also one of the mushrooms that was found on the body or in the little bag that let's see, the Iceman found in the Alps. That 5,000-year-old mummy was carrying this. So
And
those,
this is not the one. This is not a fire bundle one as well, right?
no, that's a foamies.
Yeah,
The
Etsy had one of those too, I think.
two. Yep. Yeah, he had two, and that one and this one. Yep. All right, so those are two common things. So this I was stoked to find, and I found it by accident. Um, just walking through the woods, and I managed to kick over this old stick. I don't know what it was, but it was growing on this, and I didn't even see it until I turned around to see if my husband was following me through the woods, and this bright red spot caught my eye. So it's some sort of a Sarcoscypha, but I didn't. I was out of town. I didn't have a microscope or even a slide with me to catch anything.
Yeah,
But I thought,
there are two possibilities: Sarcoscypha dudleyi, Sarcoscypha austriaca. Um, and in fact, I just had a discussion with Steve Russell about these today because we had a Zoom meeting about. He was just needed to give me some pointers on how to collect samples for sequencing. Um, and we talked about these a little bit. He says that he hardly ever gets dudleyi because people send him a lot of stuff to sequence, and he says usually it's Astria, Austriaca. I think that's how you say it.
okay.
And I found these also. I think they're the same thing, because these two species, the fruit bodies look identical more or less, Dudleyi and Austriaca. So I'll have one of these also, and I did a bunch of micro on it.
All right, good. Well, we'll see what the spores look like then. But yeah, it was a flash of color in this otherwise brown and gray woods. So it was, yeah, there you can see it just,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was, I would say, approaching 2 inches across. And this was the stick that I managed to kick up. You can see it's oak. There's some poplar in the woods. There's also hemlock not too far away, um, and some other buckthorn weed trees. So I don't know what this stick was, but it probably isn't very host specific. But it was fun to find.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I've never seen a Sarcoscypha.
Yeah, me neither. Have you had much rain where you are?
This was up in New York State, and I think it was definitely wetter up there than it is in Jersey. And the snow, they had a lot of snow and it melted off too. So I think the ground is just a lot wetter up there. Um, so this was found fairly nearby. I don't know if this ID is even close, but I think INAP may have suggested this. It was on the underside of bark on a dead ash tree.
Neat.
That kind of thick, Lila.
Yeah, a little bit, but it wasn't very big. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I should have thrown a coin in there. I must not have had one in my pocket.
Yeah, I only say because Trichoderma sulpherum, whatever it is, that's normally, I mean, just right up against it and kind of dusty, right? As a Trichoderma would be, and these kind of look membranous.
Yeah, yeah. So but they were firm. They weren't, at all gooey.
Yeah, and I mean, I've found Trichoderma sulphureum before, uh, and I did the micro, and it all checked out. It didn't look like this,
Okay.
but you know, I found it one time. I don't, and it's a trichoderma, so it has multiple forms, right? It has
Yeah.
the sexual stage and the asexual stage. So
Oh, yeah. So as I said, I don't know. You can see here's the oak leaf. You can see it was a pretty tiny patch, whatever it was.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously color was drawing my eye. There's not a lot of color 2 weeks ago. Um, all right, so
If that's somewhere that you can remember where it is or that you get to often, I would check back in on that if you remember what
yeah,
specific log you rolled.
yeah. Well, it was a piece of bark that came off of a log on the underside, so the ash bark. But I probably could find it the next time I go up there. Hopefully I turned it face down so it wasn't getting beat by the sun. Um, we'll see. Then what about this stuff? Is this some sort of a trichoderma? Um, or some kind of a green mold? This is a squash or a pumpkin or something like that was rotting in a shed. And there's a lot going on here.
I have an old squash in my yard that I threw out for the squirrels, and it looks just like this now, like the outer case of the inside's all gone, but
Yeah.
it's very similar.
Yeah. So I don't know. It might be some slime molds on here too. This yellow stuff. But anyway, it was
Yeah, I think that's just its own ecosystem at this point.
yeah, it was weirdly attractive with this beetle, whatever this beetle was on it too. It was like, oh, that's something interesting.
Yeah, I could show when you're the mushroom guy. I don't know how many other people this happens to. People show you things like
Hmm.
the coffee that's been sitting around for like a month,
Yeah.
and
What's this growing here? Yeah.
I now have pictures of said coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get those texts.
Yeah. All right. So I think those were my five. I'll stop so somebody else can go.
I could go now, if that's okay.
Yes, okay, honey. Find your mouse.
So this was during the dry half of my time down in southern Illinois, and I actually thought this was Lentinus at first, but I think it's Neofavolus, and I think it's the white one as opposed to alveolaris. Um, but that's that's about all I have to say about it.
So, Luke, Hunter, I don't know, I don't know if you've been in the group since Luke has, you know, been on Taxonomy Tuesday.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I came after him, but I know who he is. Yeah.
I the last I spoke to him about Neofavolus, and he's kind of my Luke knows Neofavolus, so I'll just ask him about it. Uh, and we have three species in North America, and there are no ways to tell them apart, according to him.
Oh, except microscopy or not
I
even?
don't even think with microscopy.
Okay.
Yeah, you need DNA for these. They on a lot of times online they'll call these Neofavolus americanus group.
Okay. You
Yeah,
do think it is Neofavolus, though?
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so. Look at the
yeah.
Okay.
look at the pores. So there's a few, like you said, a few Lentinus that have pores like these, but those are different. What is it, Lentinus
Brumalis.
acularius or whatever? That one's got a long, thin stipe. And then there's that one. What's it called now? It's really hairy. Um, but this isn't it. So I think this is Neofavolus.
Oh, were you thinking Tigrinus or?
Tigrinus has gills, I think.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Guild one.
What's the name of that? Jeez, I forget. Oh, it starts with LEU, I think. Something like that. It starts with L. Lentinus.
Oh,
It had a different name up until about 5 years ago. I
okay.
forget the old name also, but it's not this.
Okay. That's fine. So yeah, we can move on. Just thought I'd share. And
Yeah, every time I find one of these Neofavolus, it's like, oh, that looks different than the normal Neofavolus, and everything you look at, it's just, well, okay, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, I've looked at spores for a number of these, and they're all the same.
so yeah, I actually had thought it was another one of these, Lentinus brumalis. I'm pretty sure this is that.
Yeah, this one has a stipe and really small pores, and sometimes the pores do become somewhat polygonal. They
Yeah,
start out really small and round, and then they sort of stretch out a little bit in age. I think
yeah.
you're right. I think that's what this is.
Yeah, I usually find it down there this time of year. And I like it. It's a cool looking mushroom.
Yeah, and to note about the stipe, this is one of the black stipe having.
Yeah, usually usually it has a black stipe. Usually. And sometimes only on the bottom, and sometimes not much at all, but usually it does. And sometimes the cap is darker also. So the species has, visually speaking, it varies somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, these I think were fairly dried out. It was still in the drier half of the time I was down there.
Oh yeah, that's a nice shot,
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, let's see.
especially.
My screen is kind of dark.
Something's going
Yeah,
on with transfer.
it's on my side. It's the internet is just sort of very, very slow. And whenever it's trying to load, it goes this gray color here.
Yeah, you can see the pores are stretching out though. They got that like diamond shape.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
As we're trying to differentiate this from Neofavolus, those pores do look quite similar.
The pores look very similar, but the
Yeah.
thin central stipe
Yeah,
is different.
and I think Neofavolus, the pore surface kind of runs down that stipe. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
it does. And then
Yeah.
that thing, what is it? Acicularia or whatever. That's like really hairy along the margin. It's got
Right.
hair sticking out along the margin.
And these are have almost have zonations on the cap.
Yes, then there's that. And this species doesn't always have that. Sometimes it's just dark. The cap's just dark, like really dark brown. So they vary a lot visually. Who knows? There might be more than one species. I don't know. I think I think I had some Lentinus brumalis sequenced, and I forget if there was a coded species name that Steve put on it. I think maybe he did. So there might be more than one of these species.
Okay. What else do I have? Oh, so I actually thought this was an anosogby, but INAT is saying agrocybe, and so I ended up going back and going with INAT's agrocybe, but I'd love to know what other people think. Um, this
The
had,
picture of a loads.
yeah. Do you want to try my other pictures? Do you think it's my email or anything?
Well, this
Um,
one looks like you have an observation without a picture, but I do see the little empty there, but I'll try it.
yeah, I
It's
mean, we could
it's
the ones at
your
the bottom and
internet, Sue, I think, or something.
well, you
I'm getting no picture on that one.
um okay, you still maybe try instead the ones at the bottom and see if you have better luck because it's a different stuff, but
This one too.
oh,
Well, let me try the 22. Oh, that wasn't voting either. Okay.
I know it sounds simple, but maybe do you want to stop sharing and just share
Okay,
again?
I'll try
Maybe,
that.
maybe.
But it's really the load that's not working. It's not the share.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's just not going.
Try
The other pictures look
logging
good.
in, maybe, Sue. They come up fine for me.
oh, okay, they do. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was my end. I was like, oh, okay. That's so
A little
weird.
different.
That's one of the reasons I like sending iNaturalist observations is, you can, it's really good at compressing those, you
Yeah,
know.
usually, right? That's what this is, right?
Yeah, if your internet's going slow, I could grab her email and bring it up.
Like Lila said, we haven't had a problem with
Anyone else?
You might be able to put the link in the chat and then maybe somebody else can share it.
Yeah. Well, if Sue stops sharing, I can share them. I've got them up
all right,
here.
I'll stop the share while I log on to the. Go ahead, Lila.
All right. So we'll go back to
The aggressively, click
sure.
on the thing.
All right, let me start sharing here. Share. Sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were growing in a parking area. You can see that pretty much out of these stones. It was very wet conditions, and um, the other picture I think is a close up of the stem, which has is would do we say that's striated? Striated, the stipe, a kind
Yeah.
of ribbed.
A little bit longitudinally striated. Yeah, faintly. Yeah. And with looks like the gills have a decurrent tooth.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did not get any microscopy or anything. I mean, this is really all I have to show of it. But I not said agrocybe. I was thinking anosogby, but um that's all I really have to say. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this, or are they familiar with it? Or
I think I might know what species this is, and I'm trying to find an INET or MO observation that I'll put in the chat because I think I have found this. And I think it's probably Agrocybe. I think
Okay.
it's too early for Anosibes or any of the related genera, the Anosibaceae.
Oh,
According
okay.
to Brandon Matheny, they are all mycorrhizal. And it's a little
Oh,
bit early for mycorrhizal species to produce fruit bodies. So I'm looking through um,
Nice
my
mycelium on the
MO
bottom.
observations here.
yeah.
And I'm gonna find this thing. I think I found it, and it was in an open area where I found it, kind of poor soil. I just don't remember the name, the species name, but I think hopefully when I find it, it actually looks like this. Let's see. I've got to go through a few pages of Anosibes here. One thing you might check is Agrocybe arvalis,
Okay.
but I don't think it's that one. There's a different one that I think is a better match. But Arvalis is sort of on the it's in the ballpark sort. Here it is, vervacti or vervacti. Vervacti. I am going to put this MO observation link into the chat, and maybe we can see it. It is now in the chat, the link that I just put in. So check it out and see if it looks like what you have. It does to my eye. So if somebody clicks on that link, maybe we can see.
ARV.
No, it's not our. I don't think this is Arvalis.
All right, what do you think it
But I
is?
put in the link for vervacti.
Yeah, I looked at it. They look a bit small. Are they? Are they?
Small. They were small.
Because these
Small.
were really good size, actually. But these look bigger.
That's not my observation,
I
though.
know. I know. Yeah, yours looked a bit smaller, but than what I had. But otherwise, yeah, they look pretty similar. The stipes seem maybe a little bit lighter, but they have
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
kind of waxy cap
Yep.
surface that's very similar. And
Spring is the time when you see a pretty good diversity in Agrocybe.
okay, yeah. Well, thanks.
Arvalis comes out late also, but I guess it probably can come out anytime. But this vervacti thing I found while I was hunting morels, so
Oh, okay.
it was in May.
Okay, yeah, that's probably.
It was in an open area, poor soil, just like a field, but not much growth on the field, just like a rocky, poor soil field.
Very similar. Yeah.
Similar
Okay.
habitat. I think that's the only time I found that species.
Cool. Thanks.
But it looks like what you have.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a lot of them in INET.
If you're able to get spores and look at them under the microscope, Agrocybe is usually going to have spores with a germ pore or maybe even a really big germ pore, so they would look truncate. And I don't think in Nosbaceae, the spore morphology is all over the place, but I don't think any of them are truncate. I don't think they have big germ pores. That I would have to review.
Okay. Well, I'll look into that. And
And you know what? The decurrent tooth that sort of peters out into a longitudinal striations on the stipe, that's an Agrocybe thing.
okay. Good deal.
Yep.
Sweet. Thank you. So this was also still in that dry time, and I thought these were not Laccaria personally, but that is what INAT was leaning towards, and so I went with it. I was wondering about that Tubaria, is it? I thought maybe they could be that. They were growing in this moss trail side. They're pretty small. You can see a little leaf. Looks like a little. I don't know what kind of leaf that is, but they're pretty small. Maybe 2 inches tall at the most.
Yeah, if you have time to try to get a spore print, take it on white.
Oh,
Take it on white. Laccaria spores are going to be virtually white. I mean, sometimes there's this very, 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 very slight, like a lilac tinge. But Tubaria spores are yellow, but they're
oh,
pretty pale yellow unless you get a really thick print. But you should be able to see it on white. So if you take it on black, it might look like it's white because it's like pale yellow. But on a white
I see.
medium, you will see the contrast between
Okay.
the surface and the Tubaria spores. Tubaria sort of makes sense to me. These are kind of interesting. I don't know what these are.
Yeah, they're different.
Tubaria makes sense this time of the year.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't. They didn't feel Laccaria to me. And I kind of familiar with those, and something just didn't seem right. So okay, good.
I'll I'd like to counterpoint just a little bit because
Sure.
these kind of do look Laccaria to my eye, um,
Okay.
especially the basal mycelium and the setting in which they were found. Um, I don't believe Tubaria has that thick basal mycelium that we see here, but I could be wrong. Uh,
You find that with Laccaria a lot?
yeah,
Okay.
it's one of the ways you identify a species of Laccaria.
Yeah, the color of the basal mycelium is a feature that you try to assess um, when you're trying to ID a Laccaria species. That is my understanding as well. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean these don't really look like Tubaria. But there's some weird species
Yeah,
in Tubaria. There's
that is correct.
yeah, there's mhm.
Doesn't the
But
cap look kind of tomentose
it
for
does that's something that does not seem Laccaria.
same?
I
Right.
think that's the most not Laccaria thing I'm seeing in this photo because the gills on the upturned one, those look like Laccaria gills to me.
They could be. Yeah.
Yeah, they do not look unlike Laccaria gills, let's say. Yeah, but the cap surface it has this like textured radial sort
Yeah,
of
yeah, it's almost
ornamentation.
rimose almost.
Yeah, like it wants to split or something. Um, there's a very strange tubaria that I found several years ago. Um, I I don't even think anybody knows what it is. I had it sequenced. Um, I can find it and put it in the chat. I don't think it's
Okay.
this though. I don't think I will. I don't think it's this. But let me look for it anyway. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you still have any of this, a spore print,
I know.
the,
And
the,
no.
the, the tubaria spores are like, oh, yeah, it's yellow. Some of them are orangish yellow, I think, right, Dave? Uh,
Laccaria spore prints. They're
no, no,
white,
no.
but
Tuba,
sometimes
tubar,
very, very, very pale
tu,
lilac.
tubaria
Oh,
are
tubar. Oh,
obviously
tubaria are
yellow.
yellow. Yes.
Yeah,
Tubaria, yellow,
sometimes a
maybe,
little
or
orange.
light brown, maybe. Or you know what? This weird Laccaria or tubaria that I found. I think this had like a almost a rusty spore print. Let me see if I can find it. Let me search for it. Take me a second. I'll find it.
Yeah. Long story short, I think I vote Laccaria here, but again, it's absolutely up for debate. I wouldn't bet money on it not being a tubaria.
Yeah, Laccaria. I believe those are also. I think that they're mycorrhizal, but that that might not be settled.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought because again, Hunter, where do we find these?
Southern Illinois in the Moss Trail side in a canyon.
I found my weird Tubaria. I'll put it in the chat. It's not
Yeah,
completely unlike these things, but it's somewhat different.
Oh, wow. Those are pretty.
Yeah, pretty cool species.
Yes.
I had no idea what these things were. Jacob Polk he actually knew they were Tubaria just by looking at them. That was quite impressive to me.
yeah,
Hmm.
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
for real. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and then I had them sequenced, and so these are Tubaria Alaska 01. It's a weird species.
Wow. Alaska 01.
Yeah, AK01. There are
Mm.
not very many observations of this thing. There might be a spore print. I think there's a picture of the spore print coming up. Looks like it had a partial veil too.
Well, that was something I was going to note out when we were still looking at. Oh yeah, look at those spores.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're
They're-
really pretty deeply yellow. A lot of times the
Nice.
Tubaria spores are not quite so pigmented, but this is the kind of color,
Wow.
to expect to see for Tubaria spores.
I like it. Oh,
and
cool.
both Tubaria and Laccaria, they throw spores. They're not shy about, you can just lay one out for an hour and you'll
Yeah,
probably get an idea of the color.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was so early in the trip. I didn't really want to collect anything because I didn't have like refrigeration and couldn't take it home for quite a few more days. So,
yeah. You know what I do when I go on vacation? I take some microscope slides and some wax paper, and if I find an interesting mushroom, um, I try to get some spores to fall on a microscope slide, and then I just fold it into the piece of wax paper with a little piece of just regular paper, with some notes on the little piece of paper indicating like which thing it was that I found.
okay. Yeah. And yeah, you do that right in the field, right?
Yeah, well, if I'm in a hotel or a friend's house or something,
Oh,
then I
okay.
just do it there. I just take a spore print right on the
Slide.
microscope slide,
Yeah.
fold it, throw the material out. I'm not going to, if I don't have a dehydrator, I'm not going to try to do anything with it. But at least I'll get spores.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Bring slides. Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
that's a good idea, Dave. I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah. That
Well,
sounds good.
you don't even need the slide, really. You can just, I mean, you'll get a better, you'll be
you
able
get
to keep
red
a
on
score with it.
foil, but the only thing is foil is treated with some chemical. So you scrape it off and put spores on your slide, and you get weird things in your mount.
Yeah. It's hard to kind of scrape them off too. And um this way, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Um I like the idea of, I mean, then you can just use that slide too. You don't have to necessarily transfer it.
No,
Like
you just put your
plug
mounting liquid
cover.
right on the slide and start scoping.
Yeah, and
Oh, look at these.
just to add
Yes,
to that, just to add to what Dave was just saying, um, you can. I take painter's tape when I'm traveling.
I was thinking tape would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for something like this, for example, or some of the ascomycetes that I really like to look at. You can just kind of wax paper it or foil, and then tape it shut and keep it kind of taped in place so that it's dropping spores on the slide over time as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
the
then
only the only
even if you
problem
don't,
with that might be that it might start to rot.
that's what I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna say, even without refrigeration.
Again, I'm looking at, this is for like Xylaria and
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Drier fruit
Yeah,
bodies, yeah.
yeah.
polypores or yeah, okay.
right. Yeah.
So this it was still really dry. This was in the same canyon up higher. Actually, it was in a someone had there were remnants of a campfire under this
Oh,
kind of cave, this rock shelf cave like thing, and these were growing in there. Um, and I have a picture of the bottom side. Um, I would have liked to have done more with these, but they had a kind of a true stem there. And then,
interesting.
yeah, I thought so
So this was
too.
on a barn site, like a campfire site?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one Piziza that grows on campfire sites. I think it's Echinospora, but I think those are dark. I don't remember. These are really small too. Look at the dime.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
actually did that. Right.
Interesting. I would have said at first, I would have said Piziza varia, but I don't think that's, I think these are something else.
Acneospora. Okay.
Echino, yeah, like ECH, etc.
A
You
kind
know,
of
if you go
spora.
on Michael Quebec and just type in Piziza ECH into
Oh,
the
yeah, they
that
call it the
search thing, right? It'll pop. It should pop right up. But you know what? That one might have been put in a different genus. But Michael Quebec will still show it to you if you search it under Piziza.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I think that, I mean, maybe it's something different, but just the fact that some of these pizzazz like to do this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's several Pizizas that are known to grow on burnt ground, burnt wood. You know, the burn sites.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a few of them. It's a pretty big genus, really. There's just, they don't end up, the diversity does not end up in field guides for the most.
Mm,
Even in the ASCO book, there's only a few of them.
right.
Um, but there's a lot of them, is my understanding. Um,
Okay.
let me see. I think I have that Echinospora thing. I think I found it once or twice. Let me see if I can find one of my observations. I think it's dark though. I think the fruit bodies are dark, but I
Yeah, a
don't
lot of
quite
the
remember.
pictures I'm seeing are darker. These were fairly light, as you can see.
Oh, so you found that Echino thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
they're dark, I think. I think they're dark,
darker.
those guys. Yeah. They look different than these. Is
This
Yeah,
my memory
this
is
had a
fault.
little stipe, yeah.
yeah, kind of a big one. Can we look at that again?
What about Tarzetta?
Ah, hmm.
Um,
I think it's the wrong time of year for Tarzetta, but the margin with the kind of triangular thing going
oh,
on.
Tarzetta branca or Tarzetta. Yeah. Hmm.
Especially with the kind of scales or granular exterior, it looks like.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
really ornamented on the outside, these cups.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's more a summer mushroom.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that especially the time of year points more towards some sort of Piziza type thing. Um, but you said these are really small, right?
Well, you could see the dime there. So
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty small.
yeah, yeah, pretty small. Um, yeah, and everything's it's been really warm. So, it was in the 80s down there most of the time I was there. So that's summer weather. So, but I don't know if that Tarzetta likes burns at all. Do you know if they're known for that at all?
I'm not sure, but I'm looking at some of them. I mean, it doesn't look dissimilar from cupularis, Tarzetta cupularis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see that one. Oh yeah, that looks. Mm-hmm. And that.
Often reported from burn sites
Okay.
on Mushroom Expert.
Yes, I'm on there too. I bet that's what that is.
Well, I'm going to stop looking for my weird Pisiza because I think you guys figured out what this is actually.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think this is a good thought here. Um,
So what is it? Tarzetta, T-A-R.
Tarzetta, and then cupularis. And he's not really saying anything about summer only or anything like that.
I'm looking on Michael Quebec
Okay,
at Tarzetta cupularis. I think that's what you have.
good. When
Yeah.
does that's great. Okay,
They
that's
say June to September, but June up in
yeah.
Canada, is like
Oh yeah,
May here, and it's getting close to May.
yeah, and it's definitely was May weather.
Burned areas, damp environments, or in burned areas. I think that's. I mean, yeah. This honestly, I mean, with these cup, cup fungi, asite or asco things, a lot of times you don't get to make an ID, but I think you got this one.
Thanks
Yeah,
for putting that in, Lila.
sure.
Yeah, appreciate that. Okay.
All right. Well, it looks like you threw a few more things in here. Oh, I see a morel.
Yeah, but I did microscopy. I found Hypholoma fasciculare, I'm pretty certain. Um and these are the spores. And I was excited to find it because I love that mushroom. I think it's really pretty and I didn't realize it could be out so early.
Yeah, it's got a split season. I find it in spring.
Okay, and
Yeah,
then
I find not
fall.
uncommon. Yeah, it's mainly a fall mushroom, but I find it in spring, not
Okay.
uncommonly.
One with the UV light too.
Yeah, I wanted to
Is
look
that
at
what
that.
you did? Was this is under UV?
No, I wanted to do that, but I didn't. That's part of the reason I collected it, but then I didn't get to that. Yeah, and these were quite small.
So there's a species that's considered to be a southern species, and it's smaller. It's really small. It's like a small fasciculare, Hypholoma subviridi, but
Yeah,
it's otherwise very similar
I
to.
don't think this is that, but I do know what you're talking about.
Right, these have thicker stipes. Yours have thicker stipes than subviridi,
And
is
there's
my understanding.
one more picture you can see they're pretty. I mean, they're larger than those. They were small, but
Oh, I see. So those bigger ones they're the same, you think, same
yeah.
species?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's probably not subviridi. Those are small.
yeah, yeah. I was excited to
What do
find
we think this is growing on?
just mulch.
Woody debris.
Yeah, I think that is what makes it tough here, right? I think Hypholoma, right? Uh,
Yeah, it's
is it
supposed to grow on wood.
The ones I've found in spring are usually on woody debris. So I don't know. Is there more than one species? I don't know. Maybe there is.
of Hypholoma?
Of Hypholoma fasciculare. Maybe there's more than one. Maybe there's more than one thing going under that name. I doubt it because I think that these things have been sequenced.
Mhm.
But in the spring, the ones I find in the spring a lot of times are on like wood chips or woody debris, and the ones I find in the fall usually are on larger pieces of wood.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
well, isn't that kind of base one of, is it on conifer or is it on a hardwood?
Yeah.
Oh, these could be on either. So there's it's kind of like a white pine plantation, but with these were in the middle of the trail, and there was a lot of the edges had been kind of chewed up with restoration equipment, I guess. Um, and so it's hard to say what kind of debris, what the debris came from. There were
Yeah.
ash and elm and white pine and um
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see pine needles. Here's a fascicle from a pine needle. There's some pine needles here. So yeah, could it be capnoides?
Yeah.
mm,
Just the red coloration in the cap. I know fasciculare can present red, uh, but these are pretty big even for fasciculare, right?
Yeah, this is quite
mm,
large.
yeah, I mean that they might look a bit bigger than they were, but maybe 3 inches across at the most, probably. But yeah, sport wise, I mean, I did actually take the spores. So, do they differ much? The two capnoides and because
The spores don't differ all that much.
okay, because
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I did a
and there's chrysocystidia on either species. I think capnoides might have more chrysocystidia. Those are if you smash mount gill material in KOH. There are these cystidia that are pleurocystidia, so they're not on the edge; they're like scattered around on the face of the gill. In
mm,
KOH, they turn golden brown. They call those chrysocystidia, and the wood-loving Hypholoma species have chrysocystidia. So all
oh
three of the
cool.
common ones. Well, four. I guess subverity probably does too, but I don't know if I've checked that one. But I just looked on Microquebec, and they say that Capnoides also has a split season.
Oh
So
okay.
yeah, they're saying Capnoides period from May,
Uh,
then August to October. So they're saying this has a split season also. And let's just see, they're probably going to say the same thing about fasciculare. Um, I'm guessing they're going to say the same thing because I think that's what I have found in the spring. The
yeah.
period early summer and autumn. Okay, so they're not really saying fasciculare has a
Okay, so capnoides.
well, it might be either one. You know, it's there. That might be a tricky thing to tell. Um,
Lateridium is in play too, right?
Yeah.
oh, that one might be there too. Yeah, but
But
that
this
one wouldn't be
isn't
so
that.
yellow. I don't think.
No, this is not that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with these. Yeah, there's like three or four things, and unless you know the substrate, um, they're all in play to me.
I don't think Lateridium comes out. Well, yeah, no, it could be a two. I think a split. Yeah.
All right. Here's what mushroom expert says about fasciculare. Growing in clusters on decayed logs and stumps of conifers and rarely hardwoods. Fall and winter, sometimes in spring. So
Okay. Mm.
I think. Okay, so I was going to say fasciculare might have smaller spores, 5 to 8 by 3 to 4.5. I think that's pretty much not much different than capnoides, actually. Let me see. just
I think
fit.
that Lateridium's truly a fall mushroom.
Yeah, I think Lateridium might be strictly fall. I'm going to check that in a minute. Capnoides 6 to 9 by 3 to 4.5. So a very small amount bigger. Not that much bigger. Let's see what Mushroom Expert says about. Well, they didn't give it a promotion yet. They're still calling it Hypholoma sublateridium.
I saw that. What
6 to 7 by 3 to 4. And the season,
Did you by any
fall.
chance taste these?
No.
Yes. Fasciculare is bitter. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's poisonous too.
Well, you just have to make sure you spit it out.
Yeah.
Mushroom Expert says sublateridium, which is lateridium. It's the same thing. They're saying fall. So they're only giving one season.
Okay. Well, I was excited to find these.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's surprising to find like a fall species now.
Yeah. Oh, and so then
Beautiful.
I have the Mayapple Rust. And I'm forgetting the name now. I completely forgot it.
Puccinia?
Pardon?
Is it Puccinia?
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. No, it's podophylli. Puccinia. Yeah, podophylli. Puccinia podophylli.
Yeah, the Mayapples just started coming out a few days ago here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, we're getting into them. They're you can see quite big here.
Yeah.
Up
That's a nice photo. I like that.
up north here, they're not quite that big yet. There's no morels up here yet, but in between now in central Illinois, there's morels. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
I expect to find black morels within the next few days. We
Excellent.
just had some rain. It just rained. It just rained here. Probably not a lot, maybe a tenth of an inch, but it rained.
Good.
On top of a warm day. So this is all good.
Yeah, good. Well, yeah, and it sounds like if the Mayapples are just coming in, it's
I think the timing this year is pretty good for the black morels because the trees haven't really formed thickened buds yet. So they're going to do that now. They will do that like tonight and tomorrow, and that seems to be pretty good timing for the Morchella and Justiceps because I think that's when they usually like to fruit is when the trees are just starting to devote energy and nutrients to thicken the buds.
okay.
Does anyone know? So I'm not familiar with this Puccinia, this particular rust. This is a beautiful photo. Does anyone know the secondary hosts of these guys? This specific Mayapple rust?
No, I don't. But it probably does have a secondary host. Most of them do. I was reading today about the one on Spring Beauties, the Claytonia, and that one does not have a secondary host. It's just on the Spring Beauty, but I think most of the rest of them do. So that's a good question for this Mayapple one.
It does not. I just looked it up.
It doesn't?
No, I just Googled secondary host for Mayapple rust, and it said there's a word, was it autonaceous? Audioecious, meaning it does not have a secondary or alternate host.
Interesting. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it completes its entire life cycle solely on the Mayapple.
Cool. So
Cool
You
to
know,
bring that up. It wouldn't have occurred to me.
well, it's much easier to manage if it's devastating to the mayapple. Like I said, I'm not familiar with this one. I don't know if it actually kills the host. A lot of these rusts kill one of the hosts. Sometimes there's more than one, right?
It's my
Sometimes there's more than
understanding
two.
that this does not really kill the mayapple, and they're able to kind of live together pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's pretty common around here, but not excessive, not, not in a horror movie type of way.
Just every leaf in the forest has that.
Right. So this is that Gyromitra brunea, and it's very common here. Unfortunately, I could not get spores off of it. I laid it, you know, like three different. I staged it, in three different ways. On a slide, on a piece of glass, and I just wasn't able to get anything. So I don't know why, but I'll try again. And um, it's it's really a cool looking mushroom. It's got more flat folds, and sometimes you can see there's a seam around the edge, and sometimes that'll be open more, and so you can see the cream colored inner flesh. Yeah, in a much more interesting way than you can here. But I just laid the dark side down and didn't get anything. So
It's probably immature.
okay, even though it's huge,
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look immature, but I've had trouble with these too,
they're
getting
just
them to
coming
drop
out. So
spores.
I guess that could be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, good.
Morels are like that too. If you pick a morel when it's immature,
Uh,
it might not give up any spores at all. Um,
okay.
but that's what I agree with you. That's what this is. It's a nice one. It's a very nice photo. Good specimen.
Nice color too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really neat to see. I really like them. And yeah, and then just a couple morels. I did do pretty well down in Southern Illinois. And I think these are probably just Americana.
There's
But
the number of pits is they're not all that numerous, and they're kind of big and
uh-huh.
elongated.
Yeah, so that
Um,
would be more diminutiva.
I think so. Yeah. How big are these? How big are the cat?
These are fairly small.
Yeah, they're probably diminutiva.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fun to find. Hoping to find some more. Is that a lichen in the and to the right there, or
Yeah.
no? Or is that just a leaf?
That's
Yeah,
some lichen.
Looks like a lichen.
it's kind of cool.
Maybe it broke off a branch or something, fell down there.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
Karen, you want to look at a lichen? It's like on the ground by these morels.
Oh, it's probably a piece of Flavoparmelia caparata.
Okay, I thought it might be something common. Okay, Flavoparmelia caparata.
Maybe.
We think.
Thank you.
The common green shield lichen.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thanks.
It's after 9 o'clock. I know, Dave, you have mostly lichens. You want to wait until next
Well,
week
we'll wait for Jason. But you
Yes.
know what? If I can just show quickly the Sarcoscypha, because I
Okay.
wanted to show the micro I did on it. It's pretty interesting.
Is that in an email?
Yeah, it's maybe the second or third thing in the original email. The email with the two links they're both lichens. We'll save those. The first link in the first email is a lichen. We can save that for next week. It might be the second link from the top in the first email. I'm not sure. We'll know,
This
as
is a
soon as we see
pin.
it.
It looks like a pin fungus.
No,
Third,
next one,
third
next one.
one.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the fairy pins.
395, the observation ending 395. See if you're
Yeah, I'm probably okay now. My husband is off the computer, so
okay.
let's see.
And we're skipping over the fairy pins, Dave.
We'll look at them next week. They're pretty cool. This is cooler though because it's got some nice micro. So the same thing, I think. This is probably what Lila found. I think it's probably the same species, according to what I've discussed with Steve Russell today. He says he thinks dudleyi is actually quite rare, and that most of these large red early occurring cups are probably Austriaca. Now, if you read descriptions, they'll tell you can tell from the spores. And they say that Austriaca has truncate spores. Well, I'll tell you what. I think that the degree of being truncate, I think, is directly related to how long ago the spore has been inside the ascus. And I think it's sort of a red herring, this whole truncate spore thing. And we'll see what I mean here when we get to the there's a lot of micro coming up. I just took a lot of pictures of these because they're pretty cool. How could you not take pictures of these? They're really cool to find.
So, Dave, that stipe, it looks like these are attached to wood, and
Yeah,
the stipe is still buried from like an
yeah, but
underside of a
this,
log.
it's like small pieces of wood that are on the ground. So the fruit bodies are originating from beneath ground level, like that. You can see what's going. This one I
Mhm.
didn't pick, but you can see what's going on there. It's probably stuck inside the ground, and it's probably stuck to this little piece of wood here that you see. So anyway, look at the size of this one spore on the right. This is like 44 microns long. These are supposed to be up to like 37 microns long, and these are not truncate. So, what's up with this truncate spores thing that you're supposed to see on Austriaca? I think I have an explanation. And look at the one on the left. That spore is somewhat truncate. Do you see what I mean? How like on the poles it's kind of flattened? So that's what they mean by truncate. I think what's going on with this species is when the spores are inside the ascus, these spores are really big and they're jammed inside the ascus. And so they're jammed up against one another, pole to pole. And I think what goes on is that when they're jammed against one another, the poles get flattened. And so when the spores are immature inside the ascus, they're going to all look, a lot of them are going to look like they're truncate, especially once they're fully grown because they sort of get so big. These are really big spores. Look at the one here in the lower middle. That one's somewhat truncate, but most of these have sort of um, rounded poles. There's more spores to see. Some of these photos, I think this photo is in water, and I took some. I also got some in Congo red. So you could just go quickly through the look at look at this one in the upper right. Look, that's the poles are flattened. They're pretty well flattened. So it's nearly truncate. Now these are all out of the ascus though. This was from a spore drop. So these spores had been released from the asci. So you could just go quickly. We don't want to spend too much time. It's getting kind of late. This is in Congo red. You can see some of them. Some of them are truncate. Look at the one that's right on top of or underneath the reticle. That one's fairly truncate. Um, and then there's one a couple above the reticle, sort of to the right. Those are kind of truncate. So it's just a variable trait. And it's probably, once the spore is out of the ascus, it probably relaxes and the poles kind of elongate. And so the spores get really long, like that one was 44 microns long. I mean, that is really long. So here's an ascus. Now, the other thing you're supposed to look at with these Sarcoscypha to tell the difference between dudleyi and austriaca is austriaca has hairs on the underside that are curled and tangled and looped. And I did find that. And that was the thing that led me to say, okay, I really think I've got austriaca here. And that's one of the next photo. I think there's 3 more photos that are showing the hairs on the underside. And see, they're really tangled until you get to the last one. And then there's hairs that are straight. So once again, ambiguous sort of microscopic features. So I actually discussed this with Steve today. And he said that as far as he can tell, these microscopic traits do not correlate very well with either species. So you can't really tell, I guess. But he also told me that in his experience of sequencing samples that he has received, dudleyi is actually quite rare. And he keeps getting austriaca. So I'm gonna go with that name here.
Thank you,
It
Dave.
was cool
Yeah.
to see the micro on that. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Okay, we can leave it at that. I'll
So the other one, dudleyi, the spores are less truncate.
yeah, Michael Close says the spores are rounded. You know what I think? I think that he just happened to look at spores that were expelled from the ascus, and so they were relaxed, and the poles were rounded. That's what I think. I think
And
probably
I
these spores all look the same.
can't disagree with that in any way. I will
Yeah.
say, for the most part, your spores look pretty truncate.
Some of them are truncate, some of them are rounded.
Yeah.
There's really no clear morphology here. And
Yeah.
so that's why
And
I'm saying I think that it's just a matter of them coming out of the ascus and then relaxing.
it's interesting because I've been reading on a couple of species that deal with similar things, where if you have well, there are duds in these ascomycetes, as I mentioned earlier, that they don't form perfectly. So
Uh,
is that part of it, or is
okay, that's another thing to think of. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. But so if you see the same type of spore more often than you see those kind of abnormal ones, uh, you got to go with the ones that are more common, right? Which isn't scientific in any way, shape, or form,
Well,
right? It's
well,
most of them.
Dudley is supposed to have rounded ends, right?
Yeah,
Austriaca is supposed to have truncate ends. So at least some of mine are truncate. Now, is that
yeah.
a trait that is going to hold up? Are those spores actually going to relax and elongate? Maybe. But the fact that a good percentage of what I found here are a truncate, that just to me is another piece of evidence that suggests Austriaca.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
Mm-hmm.
having never found either species, I can't really go to bat for either one. But yeah, I think a lot of these look truncate, and if most of them were rounded, maybe you consider dudleyi, which seems to be a rare thing, right?
Yeah, which seems to be a rare thing, but it might also be that you're just looking at a lot of spores uh, that are Austriaca spores, but they're all out of the ascus for a while and they're pretty well relaxed and elongated. Now, I think the spores for Austriaca are reported to be a little longer than dudleyi also, and that might be another piece of information that's useful. And that might be why some of them are truncate, because they're really big and they're jammed into an ascus. And
You
you know,
said the one you measured was nearly 40.
It was 44 microns long, that one in that first photo. And this one right here, look at this one that's sort of like right center, sort of. That one's pretty big too. That one looks like it's probably at least high 30s. I didn't measure this one. See, I can actually almost do it right now. Let me get my little piece of paper. Oh, look at that. I've got an edge on this piece of paper that's just a little bit bigger than that spore. Yeah, so what do we got? Here's 1, 2, 26. Well, it's in the third. No, that one's in the mid 30s. That one's in the mid 30s, the length. So that they're supposed to be that big.
Yeah.
I think either species, they say the spores get into the mid 30s.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing. Hope to find one and compare it one day.
Yeah, they're like Lila said, they're really cool to run into. To see that thing on the otherwise dingy gray brown pre-spring forest floor. You see these things.
Yeah, it's such a nice first mushroom.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone who shared. Hopefully, after the 92-degree weather I had here, we'll finally get some fungi out here. But it's so dry already from that heat.
We had a